Okay, the long-awaited, long-demanded return of WarGames has concluded. Match itself ended about, give or take, 10 minutes ago. This is the NXT TakeOver WarGames, aka NXT TakeOver Houston, recap and review. Let's get right to this with our first match. Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan. Right off the bat, Sullivan basically tossed Ohno right into the corner and started beating on him after the bell rung. Sullivan hit a big high-flying shoulder block off of the ring apron. Sullivan hit a pop-up power slam. Eventually, Ohno came back and managed to get a little bit of offense, and he dodged a flying headbutt attempt. He hit a cyclone kick, got a 2 count, managed to get a few other big strikes, but then Sullivan shrugged off a rolling elbow, and then hit his finisher, that big rolling power slam for the 3 count and the victory. Like I said, this was basically a squash match. I mean, unfortunately, this was in, if this had been anyone lesser than a Chris Hero, a.k.a. Cassius Ohno, the match would be utterly forgettable, but Ohno was at least able to get in some, like I said, a little bit of offense here and there. He got in some strikes. Probably his big one, again, he hit his rolling elbow and he hit that bicycle kick, but other than that, that was about it. Okay, our next match is Alistair Black versus Velveteen Dream. Right off the bat, Dream has both, with his tights, he had both the face of Alistair Black and himself on either of the legs. Immediately, Black shrugged off a slap from Dream and hit a big, deep arm drag. A lot of chain wrestling early on in this. Chain wrestling into headlock, arm drag into headlock. Black managed to lock Dream in kind of an elevated octopus hold. Like, not quite the typical octopus stretch, or basically managed to get both his legs up, kind of like the Black Widow hold that AJ Lee used to use. Right after that, Dream managed to get some offense back. He tried to catch Black off in a suicide move as Black was going to go for a suicide dive, but Black just kind of flipped off the ropes and went into his meditation pose. Dream came back and hit a hangman move on Black. Basically draped him right over the top of the top rope there. Dream countered a whip into a super kick and got a 2 count on it. This point, the brawl kind of got to the outside of the ring. Dream hit Black into the ropes again. Dream countered a move. Black countered another move. Hit a lion salt for a 2 count. Dream hit a his rolling Death Valley driver finisher for a 2 count. Dream went for the purple Rainmaker, but Black got a boot up. Alistair Black went for the Black Mass. Velveteen Dream dodged it and hit kind of a. It was sort of a roll of the dice up into a DDT. And got a 2 count on it, and that's where it literally looked like maybe that was going to win. But after that, Black hit a Black Mass for the 3 count, and really a surprisingly good match. Really great build up to this match that could have easily just gone off the trails and been really boring. Thankfully, again, a lot of exciting moments that kind of the roll of the dice, which, if you don't know, is basically like the Sister Abigail that goes up into the DDT. I mean, that was a crazy move. I've never seen anything like that before. Anyway, right after the match, Black picks up the microphone and basically says, "Enjoy your infamy, Velveteen Dream." And it's like, well, I guess maybe Dream did manage to earn his respect because Black did say his name. Dream kind of painfully smirks as Alistair Black walks up the rampway. And now we have the first of our 2 championship matches, the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. Kairi Sane versus Ember Moon versus Peyton Royce versus Nikki Cross. One of the more unique things as this was coming out, like, Peyton Royce was kind of the overwhelming favorite on Twitter and social media. Probably a long time coming. She actually came out with Billie Kay, but Billie Kay immediately stopped at the top of the ramp, basically gave her blessing to Peyton, and walked off to the back. And Peyton actually looked really concerned at that point. Anyway, Royce, right after the bell ring, Royce went after Ember Moon while Nikki Cross went after Kairi Sane. Royce hit a double jackknife on to both Ember Moon and Nikki Cross. At this point, Sane came in with a sort of the natural selection move that the standing blockbuster that Charlotte hits. Moon hit a suicide dive onto Sane and Royce on the outside of the ring. Nikki Cross then went for a Hurricane Rana, but Moon blocked it and hit a big power bomb on Nikki Cross, right onto the outside of the ring, right onto the black mats in front there. Sane came in and speared Peyton Royce as basically was trying to spear Ember Moon. Moon leapfrogged and wound up Kairi Sane wound up spearing Peyton Royce. At this point, there was a triple superplex by Peyton Royce, Ember Moon, and Kairi Sane. Cross eventually came back in, hit the Fisherman's Neck Breaker on, let's see, it's Fisherman's Neck Breaker for a 2 count. I believe it was on Kairi Sane, I may be wrong on that. Peyton Royce came in and hit the Perfect Plex, got a 2 count. She hit it on, I believe it was Ember Moon. Kairi Sane then hit the Insane Elbow onto both Royce and Nikki Cross. She basically got Peyton Royce more with the elbow, though, and she tried to cover Nikki Cross, though. Cross kicked out. Ember Moon then went for the Eclipse, but Peyton Royce pulled her down. Let's see, Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce were then kind of brawling a little bit as to who was going to try to get to Ember Moon, but as that happened, Moon recovered enough to hit the Eclipse on both Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce, and got the Ember Moon then pinned Nikki Cross for the 3 count and the victory. Your new NXT Women's Champion is Ember Moon. Afterwards, Asuka came in, gave Ember Moon the championship belt, and the two actually embraced. For the match itself, it was an okay match. I thought it went by like a little too quickly. I guess maybe they wanted to have more time for the main event, so this match unfortunately had to get cut short. But yeah, I mean, this one did feel quite lacking. All right, our next match is our second championship match, the NXT Championship match, Drew McIntyre versus Andrade Cien Almas. Right off the bat, a lot of headlocks and wrist locks to start things off. At one point, Almas tried to do a corner move, but McIntyre countered it with a drop kick. Almas went and did the Tranquila, but McIntyre hit a big boot on him. At this point, Zelina Vega, not Selena Vega, went for a head scissors onto McIntyre, but he basically no-sold it. It's like she jumped, she starts kind of twisting to pull him, and he's just kind of standing there like, what are you doing? Then Almas tried to hit a suicide dive, but McIntyre countered that. Almas dodged a charging McIntyre, which sent him into the ring post. McIntyre started selling a shoulder injury at this point. Almas did his hangman's armbar, got to the 4 count on that before letting it go. McIntyre fought back and hit a back-to-back belly-to-belly suplexes. Then he hit a missile drop kick. McIntyre hit the Celtic Cross for a 2 count. Almas came back and hit a tornado death drop DDT for a 2 count. McIntyre countered a hammerlock DDT into an electric chair facebuster for a 2 count. Almas, it's a Hurricane Rana. McIntyre hit the ring post again. This was on the outside of the ring. Almas hit a Hurricane Rana, and McIntyre hit face first into the ring post. Almas then hit a moonsault to the outside of the ring. Moonsault to the outside of the ring. That's right here. Almas hit a double stomp and then followed it with his drive-through knees. That's where the guy's laying in the corner, and Almas hits the charging knees to the face. Almas hit his hammerlock DDT, got a 2 count. McIntyre hit the Future Shock DDT for a 2 count. At this point, Almas distracted the referee long enough for Zelina Vega. I keep saying Selena. I thought it was Selena, and then I think like the last week they changed it. But anyway, Zelina Vega came in and hit Spike Hurricane Rana onto McIntyre. Almost came in and hit his hammerlock DDT for a 2 count. McIntyre hit a Claymore for a 2 count, but that's because Vega pulled Almas's foot onto the bottom rope. At this point, a bit of a weird thing happened. McIntyre went for a second Claymore, and he caught himself on the rope, and he actually kind of cried out, like, again, you could maybe say this was part of the story, I don't know, but he caught himself up on the top rope. At this point, Almas got in, hit, draped McIntyre over the top rope, and then picked him up. They call this move a DDT. It was really more of a brain buster. It was like a slingshot into a brain buster. At which point, like, something happened with Drew's arm. It also kind of weirdly tangled. But Almas gets the cover and the 3 count and the victory. Your new NXT champion is Andrade Cien Almas, which, given a few months ago, is a bit of a shock because this guy had less momentum than Jinder Mahal did when he won the belt, when he won the WWE Championship. But I guess when they partnered him up with Zelina Vega, it seemed to sort of spark some more interest into him. But again, I don't know why they did this, since they seem to be building McIntyre for the long haul. Again, like, I don't know, I mean, are they going to... Is this going to be like a little short championship reign for Almas? I mean, even Almas himself seemed kind of surprised that he actually won this. I don't know what was going on. The match itself was great, so at least that seems to be going well. Almas now really does have some momentum behind him. Momentum he had been sorely lacking the last year. So everything seems to be going good. Like I said, McIntyre was doing all right. He had some great matches, but again, it's sort of weird that this was a guy who actually had been Intercontinental Champion on the main roster, and he comes down to NXT to win the belt, and that just seemed really off-putting to me in a way. And now we've come to the main event, the return of WarGames. Sanity versus the Undisputed Era, that's Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, baby! And then the team of the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong. And this is different than your typical WCW WarGames. This has a bit more of a difference to it. Here are the rules. Basically, all 3 teams have 2 members in separate shark cages that are outside the ring. Basically, there are 3 shark cages. 2 members of each team go into the shark cage. 1 member goes down and goes into the 2 rings inside 1 cage. After 5 minutes, the remaining 2 members of 1 team enter. 3 minutes later, remaining 2 members of another team enter, and after another 3 minutes, the remaining 2 members of the remaining team enter. At that point, the match beyond begins, and the victory can only be achieved when all members of all 3 teams have entered, and it can only be done by pinfall or submission. Should any member exit the cage, it will result in a forfeiture for that team. Did everyone get that? Again, because this was a 3-tiered WarGames instead of your usual 10-man type match where it was just the coin flip and then one guy would enter and then another guy would enter and then another guy. If you're more familiar with the WCW WarGames, I will say this: it was, I think, a little. This was even more complicated than the infamous one that had the 3-tier with WCW, the NWO Black and White, and the NWO Black and Red. Anyway, getting to the match itself. For Sanity, Eric Young was the first member. While Wolf and Dane stayed in the cage, Eric Young came down to the rings. Adam Cole came down for the Undisputed Era, while Fish and O'Reilly stayed in the cage. Roderick Strong came down for his team, while the Authors of Pain stayed in the cage. Right off the bat, Adam Cole did his best to avoid both Roderick Strong and Eric Young, since he actually has heat with both of them, though Strong and Young got into a fight with each other eventually. Cole tried to climb the cage, leading Strong and Young also to climb the cage. Young knocked Strong off the cage and began going after Cole. Cole eventually got the upper hand on both of his opponents. Strong came back and hit a series of knee strikes, but then the Undisputed Era were the first team to be freed out of their cage after the first 5 minutes. Fish and O'Reilly immediately go after Strong. The Undisputed Era then basically caught Eric Young in between the ropes and the cage itself and began pounding him into it. At this point, the Authors of Pain were freed from their cage. The Authors come in and begin laying into their opponents. At one point, they took Eric Young and I think it was Kyle O'Reilly, and they put them in separate corners, and then they took Bobby Fish and Adam Cole and hit Death Valley drivers with them onto the men in the corners. Akam and Rezar did. At this point, Sanity were freed from their cage, with Alexander Wolf coming into the ring and carrying a nightstick. Dane kind of stayed on the outside and began grabbing weapons from under the ring, including chairs, a garbage can, a chain, and the table, because the crowd was asking for tables, so Dane obliged. Kyle O'Reilly went for a chair shot on Alexander Wolf, who dodged. The chair hit the ropes and sprung back into O'Reilly's face. At this point, Dane finally entered the cage, locked the cage, and then grabbed a chain with a padlock and wrapped that around the cage, permanently locking it. He then swallowed the key. And at this point, Dane just went nuts. He was all over everyone. He had a senton drop kick on both members of the Authors of Pain. He hit a follow-away slant Samoan drop combo on Strong and Fish. Kyle O'Reilly came in and used the cage for a tornado DDT on Akam. Weapons all over the place. Kyle O'Reilly grabbed a chain and tried to choke out Alexander Wolf, but then Eric Young hit an elbow drop from this. At one point, the Authors tried to powerbomb Adam Cole through 2 tables. That didn't work, but then one of them, I think it was Rezar. Yes, it was Rezar. Was at the corner. Alexander Wolf runs in and hits a German superplex on Rezar through the 2 tables. Killian Dane, at this point, Adam Cole had climbed to the top of the cage, was climbing along the top of the cage trying to do something. Dane noticed him, but he set up a garbage can on Kyle O'Reilly and hit a Van Terminator right in front. He basically got Cole's attention. He said, "Hey, you watch this." And he hits a coast-to-coast Van Terminator onto the garbage can at that point. Strong, at this point, Cole tried to go for basically a top rope splash, but then Strong noticed him. Strong hit a superplex from the top of the cage. It performed a superplex, tossing himself and Adam Cole off the top of the cage onto almost everyone else except for Alexander Wolf, because, like I said, that German suplex had left Wolf with a nasty gash on his head. They had to patch that up, so he was actually in the separate ring at that point. The Authors of Pain came in and they hit the final chapter on Killian Dane while in between the 2 rings. Didn't quite get a 2 count. It gets broken up. Fish and O'Reilly came in and they hit the total elimination on Rezar. At this point, Eric Young managed to grab a chair. It was setting up to try to block Adam Cole, but Adam Cole hit the Shining Wizard through the chair into Eric Young's face, gets the 3 count and the win. The Undisputed Era wins this. Whew. Yeah. That sums it up right there. Just that big sigh. I mean, everything. This had more of a car crash element to it than the Hell in a Cell that was just last month. That had Shane McMahon jumping off the cage and him and Kevin Owens fighting on top of the cage. So there was a real craziness to it. And again, these matches, I'd say the last 2 matches really did help make the show a lot better. So the first match was kind of mundane. The second match was really good. The women's 4-way was, like I said, I thought there was room for improvement on it. It kind of went by a little too fast. But these last 3 matches really did help kind of save everything, or last 2 matches, I guess, really did help bring the show back up. So yeah, I am giving NXT TakeOver WarGames an A. Okay, so again, the next video is going to be the Survivor Series recap and review. That's going to be on Monday. Might not be up until late afternoon Monday because, again, I know Survivor Series is shaping up to be a pretty long show this time by. After that, it's going to be the random trade review on Executive Assistant Assassins. Right at the beginning stages of scripting that. It's kind of a long story, but I'm going to try to condense it down as much as I can to make it a palatable video. See you all then. Hey guys, tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me cover something like Ring of Honor or New Japan or anything else? Go to my Patreon page and see how you can help make that happen. Links in the description.